Hi, folks. Mike Savage here, and we're going to have a little chat about innovation and what's happening with the innovation economy in Halifax. So I'm really delighted to have a couple of folks here that we can have a conversation with, socially distanced, so that we're doing everything by the book. And I appreciate you guys coming in. So we have Mike Johnston, who's the president and CEO of REDspace, and we have Sheamus MacDonald, who is the co-founder and CEO of Sedna. Let's start with you. Tell us a bit about your company, Sheamus. It's relatively new.
Yeah, we're a 3-year-old company based at Cove in Dartmouth. We began by automating some of the business practices within the seafood industry, so focusing on live lobster is a big Nova Scotia market, so kind of clients were all in our backyard. Upon success of that, we've introduced a lot of sensor technology to the fishing industry, which helps to optimize the supply chain as well as promote quality, which obviously helps with Nova Scotia's exports. And from there, we've actually, we kind of expanded into aquaculture, as well as we're working with some other clients in other nations such as Australia, New Zealand, and the U.S.
Now, you yourself are from the island of Cape Breton?
I am from Cape Breton, yeah. I spend most of my time in Cape Breton in the summer, where I still commercially fish, but I also am up here providing a lot of input with our company and growing our company.
That's cool. You're a commercial crab fisherman.
I am, yes, at a shetty camp.
Yeah, and you're originally from Judic.
And I'm originally from Judic, yeah.
Judic on the floor days.
Exactly. I can't step dance, but
well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so you've come here and you've set up this company in Cove, and Cove has got kind of an ecosystem of ocean science and ocean research companies over there.
Yeah, and that's a big part that kind of drew to us to being a part of Cove, is that ecosystem, whether it's companies working in similar spaces or just individuals with that kind of expertise and experience.
Yeah, and I want to get into that a little bit as we can. Cove's a pretty cool place, and we'll just chat about that a bit. Now, Mike, you've been around a bit longer, right? So you, I saw the other day, in fact, you had sent something out that to me, which I appreciate, which celebrates your 20th anniversary, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We've been around 20 years. So I'm born and raised in Truro and took off, university age for about a decade and ended up in New England. But back here for 20 years now, slowly building a software engineering company. We're about 220 souls on board at this point at REDspace, based in Sunnyside Mall in Bedford. Primarily a software engineering and design shop. Main line of business for us is work in the entertainment and media sector. We build streaming video platforms. So you think of, the move away from traditional cable that most of the television networks are doing, trying to get direct to consumer, like all of us in our house with streaming platforms like Netflix and whatnot. We build a lot of that technology for television networks like Viacom, CBS, and Warner Media, and Sony Pictures, and a number of networks in the U.S. And then we take a lot of that innovation and transform how corporate learning happens for companies like IBM, and have a growing line of business in aerospace and defense, doing the same thing, bringing enterprise learning approaches with these sort of rich media techniques. So, yeah, we've been slowly growing, Mike, for 20 years, and in a bit of a burst, added another 80 or so last year, and weathered the COVID storm. But happy to be here doing this.
So that's what caught my eye when I saw your presentation the other day, was 200 and some odd employees, but you added 80 some in a single year last year. I mean, that's pretty remarkable growth.
Yeah, no, it's been a big push. I mean, if you look at our external branding, it's as much recruitment as business attraction, really. Mm. There's something special about this place, the work that we get to do here, that seems to be attractive to not just people from here, but people from away. We've got over 20 passports in the staff now, and a lot of the growth, or 80 plus folks that we added last year, we're from around the world. So we have a lot of folks coming in on different work permits and permanent residency applications, and really kind of added to the diversity fabric of the place.
And I've been to your place a couple of times. People should know you have a slide at your office.
A 2-story slide, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's a neat space. Part of the goal was to have a space that is creative and collaborative, and a space that people can be proud to tell their friends about. It's kind of got wacky lines and kind of an innovative feel everywhere you stand in the space. So yeah, we've been fortunate to be able to kind of grow contiguously as the company's grown. The landlord's been very supportive, and yeah, we went sort of 2 floors up and added a kind of mezzanine level, and thought, what the heck, let's put in a piece of eye candy and let you get down a little quicker. So.
And I know you've been very supportive of the entire innovation economy and really the entire sort of ecosystem in Halifax. I've seen you at lots of events promoting the city, working with people like the partnership and others to extol the benefits of Halifax.
Yeah, cheers. I think I think if I was honest 20 years ago and I landed back here with, with a 1-month baby in tow and, aspirations to be an IT consultant, I wasn't sure I'd stay here long. I wasn't sure that this would be an asset or a liability, and I'm thrilled that it's been such an asset to be here around so many great people, and to be able to build an export business from home here.
Yeah, and you've been part of our selling. When we go out on the road, Nancy Phillips and I, with the partnership, we talk a lot about REDspace and companies like REDspace that have done so well. And on Sedna, in your case, Sheamus, as a newer company, what is it that makes this work here in Halifax? And tell us a bit more about your company and what made you get into it. I mean, obviously you're a fisherman, but what kind of was the spark for that?
Yeah, so I mean, Halifax to us, obviously it's the recruitment of talent. So working in the seafood industry, it's one thing to kind of get the expertise, but to understand the culture and how to build a business around that to attract clients, that's something that a lot of the people in this area can learn and bring that to our team. So that's one of our biggest things. We hire from rural communities all over Nova Scotia and attract them to Halifax or let them work remotely. And why I started the company and kind of where the company came from was, if you look at Nova Scotia's resources and what we're outputting, strictly related to seafood, live lobster is growing, and to attract those markets and get to those markets and make the most out of the resource when it's being extracted from the ocean, that's what we wanted to help with. We wanted to help increase that, create more jobs in rural communities, and help fishermen make more money. So using our technology, they're able to see where that quality is coming from and making sure that product can get to market and an export dollar can come back into the province.
And so from a point of view of being with other people that are sort of clustered in that ocean science, ocean research sector, provincial government's done a great job with Cove and an old, some people know, but some may not. It's the old Coast Guard base in Dartmouth. And, when you go in there, and I've done it a number of times, you meet a whole bunch of folks who are really working together. The old business models of years ago where you hoarded all of your information and everything was separate and distinct. And now it seems like everybody talks to each other, and that's a pretty good climate over there.
Yeah, and on that point, we actually are just about to commercially launch a new product of ours, and we actually collaborated with 4 companies at Cove alongside ourselves. So we actually took those resources and worked with those right next door to us rather than looking elsewhere. So it was a combined approach to get what we needed. So
that works, and that environment obviously has been a good investment by government to encourage that kind of cooperation and innovation.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it goes down to whether you're a startup or you're an established company. There's value on both ends, and that's what I think a lot of people are taking the approach to use.
If I can amplify that, I mean, I think one of the sort of real benefits that I've found about being here in Halifax is that there's not just that culture of collaboration inside a given industry, like you're seeing at Cove, but the fact that there are so many industries doing innovative things all right here close together. So we're seeing interesting overlap with the media work that we do in the defense sector. There's obviously a big Navy town here. With the fisheries investment, there's a lot of biotech and healthcare here. There's a dense concentration of interesting work happening across industries, and a lot of time that's really where the interesting friction and fire comes from, is sort of solving old problems in one industry with new ideas from a different one. It's been a really neat overlap.
And people should know your company. Some of your clients they may have heard of, companies like IBM and Sony Pictures and NBC, Cartoon Network, right? NBA? Do you work with the NBA?
Yeah, through Turner Sports. They're affiliated. Yeah, we've looked after some of their technology. Yeah, no, it's I mean, these are industries that can choose to work with anybody, anywhere. They see something special about the caliber of the people here. There's a culture of helpfulness, of collaboration, I think, that really kind of runs both through REDspace, but through the industry and the economy here. I mean, we have folks from New York and Atlanta and LA who, I mean, they joke that there must be something in the maple syrup here. People are genuinely friendly. They care about solving problems and finding creative solutions to things. And I think there's something about that. There's a necessity here. We're not the biggest players in the market out east here, so we need to be innovative. We need to be scrappy to sort of stand out on the world stage. And some of it's working.
And how much of the business that you do is exported?
Oh, easily over 90%. I mean, for years it was 99 to 100%. As we get more work in the Canadian aerospace and defense sector, that ratio is shifting, but we're still probably north of 90%, and the majority of it to the U.S.
So, when you see those kind of innovative places, and we're in one right now in B&V Studios in beautiful downtown Halifax, but people need to understand that a lot of these businesses that are hiring, particularly our young people who are coming out of schools and people from around the world who come here to go to school and decide to stay, that we're hiring people here and bringing money in from elsewhere in terms of a lot of those companies like your own.
Yeah. This is net revenue into the region, and I'm proud to have been part of that for 20 years straight. It's this is all fresh money. It's these are great knowledge-based jobs. They attract youth. They attract knowledge workers. I think it's a healthy balance for the city for sure.
And what's kind of cool about you guys is I can think of a ton of companies within a 5-minute walk from here. Kinduct, of course, which recently had a big payoff for Trav and the folks. But Proposify and Verb and Dash Hudson and tons of companies that spun out of Volta, for example. A lot of them in the downtown, but you don't have to be in the downtown. You're in Bedford and you're on the Dartmouth side, which is really a real blessing to be on that Dartmouth side, I'd have to think, being a Dartmouth guy myself. But I mean, you go where the opportunities are and where the environment is right for innovation.
Yeah, definitely. And on that point, I think another big thing for Cove is the ability to get to the water with ease. A lot of the companies that are working in ocean tech, not us specifically, but they have the ability just to go down and test equipment right off the dock. So that really gives something Halifax within that area that's attracting a lot of companies. Just the ability to go down and do it right that day.
It was hard to see us as a real growth city not that long ago, and certainly hard to see us as an innovation hub. I remember when the Branham Group we started showing up in the rankings of how we were doing in terms of attracting tech talent. It's kind of a snowball. It gets to a point where all of a sudden you're in the game, and I think we're in the game. But I do. It's taken some time. I remember I started this thing called the International Students Reception shortly after I became mayor, working with the universities and Don Bureau and the college to sort of let new students know a bit about Halifax. What they used to tell me then was, we love it here, we'd like to stay here, but there aren't the opportunities. Now I kind of hear from folks like yourselves, the war on talent has gone a little bit the other way, that it's really, you guys are the ones that are out there looking for talent all the time.
Yeah, you're right. And so programs, a couple of years ago, there was a program called the Graduate to Opportunity Program, which made sense because you're right. It's a vicious war for talent, but it's still a risk for a small to medium-sized business to hire somebody fresh out of school that it doesn't have the industry experience. We all want to be doing that. We were all at the beginning of our career at one point. We certainly do a fair bit of new grad hiring at REDspace, but it's a risk that the companies need to take on. So seeing government supports that recognize that de-risk that, to give companies a reason to take that shot and therefore give the young people a reason to stay. I think that's been a healthy sort of catalyst that's driven the economy.
And I think when you think about how the economic development agencies work in our community with NSBI, with the partnership with Innovacor and Cove and Volta and the Ocean Frontier Institute and so many other, the supercluster, that there's been a great deal of momentum, and certainly in the space that you're in, Sheamus, it's gotten a lot of attention in the last number of years.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean by the support. There's not only does that come with capital to start a company once your product's kind of validated or your idea is validated, but also gives you access to that wealth of knowledge in that ecosystem that otherwise you might not be able to get. So it puts you in front of individuals with those connections that you need to grow your company.
And your company is still relatively young and growing, but 7 employees, 7 people working there?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we're continuously growing. It's we got to market about 2 years ago, so we're kind of hitting that growth curve now, which I don't know if we'll hit 80 this year, but we'll try our best.
Well, it's pretty good. It's pretty good growth. Where do you see the growth opportunities for your company?
So big things for us, again, is just in those export markets that we discussed. We worked with companies kind of in our backyard to validate our technology, and now it's time to export. So we're continuing working with companies all over the world and understanding their problems and seeing if we can solve them with our solutions.
So I got to get a little pitch in for one of my favorite things, which, and you kind of referenced it, is the diversity of the workforce. And the population of our city has become much more diverse over the last little while. How does that play into your company and REDspace and the sort of values of the company, Mike?
Well, look, we're trying to solve transformative problems for industries that are going through rapid change. They need big ideas. Again, our clients can look anywhere in the world. They want world-class talent from and ideas that can help them transform their business. Thinking the same way doesn't solve problems. Thinking in new ways does. Learning from each other, bringing perspective. I think it's been the diversity that we've seen at REDspace has helped the quality of the work, but it's also made it a more fun place to be. There's an extra vibrancy to the place. We have people who have worked in a lot of different industries in different countries who come here and tell the people who've grown up here, remind them just how great it is. And sometimes that's nice. If you're from the place, it's nice to every once in a while be reminded that what we have here is special. And it sometimes takes people from away to remind you of that. So it's been a neat ancillary benefit to have that kind of energy around the house.
Mm. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, for us, that's kind of the same approach we have to take. We work in a very traditional industry, so you don't want that same side of thinking. So attracting diversity that comes in, looks at the problem, and has a new idea that you might not have ever thought of. That's something that we really pride ourselves on as well.
So in business, you have to come up with the answers to the questions that you're being asked. I always tell people in my field and others that if you're talking to the same people and getting the same answers, you really need to get some new people and find out what you're not hearing, right? And what you're not addressing. I'm going to ask each of you just about COVID and if that's had an impact on your business.
It hasn't so much in the way that we operate. Like I said, we have rural employees from all over Nova Scotia working for us. So we always had that kind of remote workplace setting. It kind of impacted us just with working in fisheries. I think that whole market was a bit shook up with international markets closing and other things. So for us, we learned to kind of adapt to those changes and address new problems for our clients. So using new technology that, say, was cloud-based, it really helped our clients because they might not be able to go and check on things at their facility or where they were. So our solution actually kind of helped them get through COVID. Mm-hmm. But we learned a ton about internal processes and how to operate and manage clients, especially when they're not at their places of work. So that was the big change for us during COVID.
Mm-hmm. For us, from sort of two ways to answer that. From a business standpoint, it's been an unpredictable summer, I suppose. I mean, look, we build streaming technologies for media networks, and the entire world's been stuck at home streaming media. So generally, the projects that we were part of that had a direct kind of revenue and we're delivering media for networks have generally stayed strong. So the team has stayed busy and employed. There's been some kind of slowdown in budget approvals and things as the clients, mostly in the U.S., who are having a rough time kind of get through and weather the storm themselves. But from a business standpoint, it's been healthy and it's sort of roaring back here now post Labor Day. We're back into recruiting mode, which is exciting. We're not going to add 86 this year, but we're going to add a few more, which is nice to sort of get back to that energy. From a sort of productivity standpoint, we were set up to work from home on a snow day. So on the 13th of March, we all kind of scattered and worked from home. Have been very productive. I'm sort of seeing the impact now as being more on the culture. It's hard to have the board games at lunch, to manage by walking around, to check in with folks, to learn from each other, to be a junior new hire out of school and get to know people and build your network and your friend group and things. There's the sort of culture of the place, the threads that tie the people together. It's been a little harder through this, I think. So we're keen to find ways to do that either virtually or to get some folks back in the office. We're open again now. We've got the office back open really in time for the 20th anniversary. But people are slow coming back.
Yeah, I found in our office that when they had to go home, they wanted to come back, and then when we got into the summer, that they were thinking, well, I'm working from home a little bit and I'm comfortable.
100%.
Yeah, and I believe that as people realize they're working from home with the benefits and the downsides of that for the local economy, for restaurants and things like that, that I think people will say, if I can work from anywhere, maybe I can work from Halifax. It's a little cheaper than Toronto, and it's got a lot of stuff that enhances it from a talent point of view.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing that. Actually, we've got a lot of now that we're recruiting again. We're seeing folks from all the big centers who are keen to. They've already got plans to pick up and leave. Cash out of the Toronto real estate market or whatnot, and set up here, or keen to have found us to give them the opportunity to do that. It's definitely a greater push for that.
And I think that speaks to the housing boom of the growth of Halifax that you're seeing is a lot of those people that are coming back from other markets and other areas make Halifax their home.
Pretty competitive.
Yeah.
It's pretty competitive. Let me ask you, Sheamus, in terms of getting capital, raising money in the a venture and stuff like that. Have you had to do much of that?
So to date, we actually haven't. We did an angel investment when we first began through family and friends. That kind of got us to market, and since then we've been bootstrapping. Our ability to kind of raise capital, I would say, is there if we really wanted to go out and seek it. We're kind of redefining and simplifying what we're doing, and we're going to look to kind of expand globally, and we will need that capital influx.
Mm-hmm.
But I think within that, us being in that ocean ecosystem and kind of having that traction that we've had, I think that the doors are there to knock on when the time does come.
Yeah, I remember I used to be a member of Parliament when I was an MP and did a lot of work in the research and education side. The big complaint was there was no VC in Atlantic Canada. The big VC companies like to look outside their windows in Toronto and be able to see their investments. Mm-hmm. But with things, ACO has been very supportive. And the Creative Destruction Lab that's been set up at Dow, we've got entrepreneurs here who've been very successful, who are prepared to put some of their money in to support those. There seems to be a culture of let's support good initiatives here at home, mm-hmm. If it's needed. Well, listen, folks, let's just go to a few last words. So I'm obviously interested in the future of Halifax. I'm excited when I see what's happening in innovation, and a last pitch for Halifax as a place to do business.
Well, like I said earlier, it's a place where you can have a life without sacrificing on the career goals. I certainly see that for myself. It's a place that I've been able to build a kind of an interesting and diverse career trajectory for myself. But I certainly see it in an increasing number of folks from 20 different countries that call REDspace home. It's a place that they've been happy to find and happy to tell their friends about. So, there's an intimate size to the city that still make it very approachable. We're close to the big centers, a little harder now. The airlines are a little under the weather, but it's a great place to call home and still have a piece of property and some deer in the backyard, and but still do world-class work that gets the attention of the best in the bunch.
Mm.
Yeah, and from my end, I think like I said, it's the opportunity that's in Halifax. It's the close-knit community that you can get to, a lot of these advisors and that talent, as well as those ecosystems that you need to grow your company. So being in Halifax, it's not a major city, but you can walk down the street and run into somebody that you've been trying to set up a meeting with rather easy, and kind of sparks those conversations that you need to have to grow a company.
Now, you recently won the 2020 MyTax Global Impact Award.
Correct.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So from two companies, one that's relatively young but doing well, a guy from Judic who turned a background in fishing into a thriving international export-focused ocean science company, and Mike with REDspace and the great success of your company with a slide and with a great kitchen and with great employee loyalty. I really appreciate you both coming in just to chat about what's happening in our marketplace, and I wish you continued success, and I thank you for coming in.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.